All right, I'm Joanna with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching, and we're doing an interview about the family sleep transformation that Lindsey and Mike experienced with their daughter Madeline, who at the time of sleep coaching was 19 months old. And I'll just give you a little brief history on Madeline, and mom and dad can, add to it. Madeline came to me with a huge history of really difficult ear infections. I mean, this poor little kid was sick every month, practically on the 30-day mark, and would just get so ill. And therefore, a lot of sleep crutches got developed just by the sheer nature of being able to care and comfort to her, because she was in so much physical pain and discomfort all the time. So by the time they came to me when Madeline was 19 months of age, Mom, why don't you, Lindsey, tell me what had to be done to and for her at the onset of sleep?
Okay, so we had to rock her for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then I would have to get up and sway her for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then if she wasn't sleeping, I would have to walk and sway her. And this went on for an hour, sometimes longer than an hour.
Yeah. Every night.
Every night.
And at bedtime and at naps.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the night, because she was waking up a lot in the middle of the night too. Mike is like, yeah, she was. Yeah. So dad would find himself also at bedtime doing a lot of the rocking, walking, swaying program, both at bedtime in the middle of the night. So there wasn't really any relief, because at every single interval of sleep, she needed a ton of support. And so what was happening to you kind of physically, emotionally, Lindsey?
So physically and emotionally, well, I was just run down. I was run down physically, run down emotionally. I just didn't feel like I could go on like this anymore. And I was anxious. I would only get 2 to 3, 4 hours of sleep a night. Wasn't very many. And I couldn't function during the day. And it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and you also had back pain. So then there was like, you already kind of had a sensitive back, and then with all the swaying and walking, then that was becoming like a major
Yes.
component.
The older she got, the heavier she got. So the more pain would be,
Yeah.
heightened.
Yeah. And so there you were, you're like, holy smokes, I cannot keep going like this. And so of course you're a researcher, as most of my clients are. They love to research, which is great, because I'm a total researcher. And so you went off on this big path to research like everything. So what were you looking for? What did you find? And then how did Mike think about it? Like, as you're like coming to him with all these options.
So I was able to research, and I found like 3 or 4 different people. A few were local, and a few came into your house, but I wasn't quite sure I really wanted that, because, your house isn't in its best state when you get 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night. So what I found was, I found some younger individuals with like one child. The child was like a year old. And I felt like, they may have not really understood where I was coming from. I have a 19-month-old, and I'm doing all these things. And she maybe had 2 or 3 years of experience. So I really wasn't interested in a coach at like, that age with. So I wanted a person who had one or more children, older children, who have experienced some of my feelings before, and was empathetic. And then I wanted somebody who was an expert, but an expert with many years of experience. So that's when I found your website, and I read through all the testimonials, and then I introduced the plan to Mike, that I was going to call her, and to see if it would be okay.
Yeah.
So we discussed that, and he said that I could try it.
But not before a little bit of thing, because you know what, one thing I want to say is, I remember, Mike, you were like, bedtime's not a problem. She's fine.
Yeah, I mean, initially I would work all day long. I'm a business guy, so I don't have much time with her. And then at night, when I had a chance to rock her to bed, that hour and a half, it was just kind of bonding time with the dad. So I didn't mind the bedtime routines. But yeah, waking up in the middle of the night, like kind of every few hours, you wouldn't get really any sleep. But when she was researching, this was all her doing at the beginning, because I didn't like, why pay money and why do a sleep coach? Because we feel at like 19 months old, she's a child. She probably doesn't really even speak many words yet. And she can't explain like, hey, take this up or put that ball away. You can't even tell her to do normal things, let alone teach her how to sleep. And like, how do you get somebody to sleep when the distance, I mean, we're doing this over the phone. You're not actually physically in the room putting her to bed. We're not giving her extra animals and like there's no objects. It's just like I couldn't even get the concept. Like, how is this going to even work to make a 19-month-old do well and like go to sleep on their own over the phone, like this kind of setup? So I was skeptical.
Yeah. And, and I think, again, I completely could see why you would be skeptical, right? Because first of all, people sometimes haven't ever heard of sleep coaching ever before in their whole life until they're put in this situation where they're desperate. And then of course, when they're desperate, they're sleep deprived and they're also wondering like, am I even making a good decision right now? Am I just looking for, a shiny object to solve the problem? And, kind of like Mike said, I'm a business guy. So he's looking at it kind of going, I don't know, like this doesn't really add up. Meanwhile, Lindsey's like, watching every testimonial, which is great, which is why I do these, right? Because there has to be like real people having like real experiences and having real decision-making around, is this possible for me? Is this person legit? Is this person well-trained? Is this person going to employ scientific data to support the process? And I think what Mike said is kind of like, well, how do you teach a baby how to do something? Like I can't even teach her, at 19 months, it's not like she's verbal and we're able to do these things. So I think those are all legitimate concerns. And I think that's where the magic comes in having a coach where we can address these things and set up a plan to watch the learning process happen in a really meaningful way. Okay. And so dad finally was like, okay, I'll try, but I think we talked a lot about the sleep success guarantee. You were like, okay, so wait, how many? Yeah, because I believe, right? I believe that, you would only want to embark upon this journey if you were going to get results, right? Which is you come with
at a tipping point where she was like hanging on the last thread. So it's like, all right, we'll spend the money, see what happens, just because there was like no other answers we had.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
And you go to the pediatrician and the pediatrician says, oh, well, change your sleep environment. Well, that wasn't working out at all because you can't change her sleep environment. She's used to her room the way it is. I mean, she just wants all these crutches, So yeah, that didn't work.
Yeah. So the thing about really effective sleep coaching, as you guys have heard me say all the time, is it's all in the details and it's all in the nuance. And if it was as easy as get this sound machine, get this swaddle, get this room darkening shade, if it was that easy, oh my gosh, we would all be loving being parents and we'd be like vibrant all the time. But unfortunately, sleep is really complex and it goes way beyond just simple tweaks. Okay, so then we went through the sleep coaching process and, now Madeline is doing what? What does life look like now?
Okay, so Madeline is sleeping pretty much 13 hours, right? She sleeps 13 hours a night without waking up. We put
without waking us up.
Without waking, well,
she could put herself back to bed now. So.
Yeah. So what she does is though, we don't rock, we don't sway, we don't do any of that. We read her story, we say our prayer, we put her into the crib, and she goes to sleep on her own. Completely on her own. So it's beautiful. It really is. And the process takes a very short time, and then we can spend time together. We can do our house work that we need to do, and then we actually get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, which is amazing. So that's great and beautiful. And then you start out by coaching for nighttime sleep, and then you go to napping. And so once she started napping on her own, just putting her in and napping, there was just so many more things that I can get done. My life returned to more normal. So I was able to work out. I lost 20 pounds.
So great.
In a very almost short time. I think it was a short time, like maybe like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Like she lost weight during COVID, people. This is amazing. When she called me and she goes, guess what? And I was like, what?
But it just felt like our life is back together. We're way happier.
Mhm.
I'm way happier because I can function, and things are just way better.
Yeah. And remember when she was going to bed at 9 or 10 at night. So what time does she go to bed now?
So she's in bed usually at 7:30, sleeping at 7:30.
Yeah.
So yeah, and 9 or 10 at night because we would have to rock and do all these crutches for like an hour or more. Not because we wanted her to go to bed at 9 or 10,
Right.
It was just everything we had to do to get her to go to sleep. So.
Yeah. And then also it was nice too, because I remember, having time for Mike to spend time with her after work was like a really big part of what was important to you guys. And so, Mike, can you speak to that about how you're super involved in bedtime now and how that works with like your family dinner and everything that you guys had wanted?
Yeah, I mean, and I think also too, it was like 9 or 10, it took a while to get her to bed, but we also were not on the right schedule. So we would start the routine late. But with your help, that was some of the details to start things earlier. But yeah, I mean, now I could put her to bed. We could do dinner together, and yeah, we just have more time with this new schedule.
Yeah, I want to comment further on that. So, you not only helped us with sleeping, but you helped us throughout the schedule the whole entire day, to make it more fit for our family and to actually make it more fit for her so that she has the opportunity to get the best sleep that she needed. So, I mean, you helped us with, our feeding schedules, her actually trying to get her to go to the bathroom at certain times, tips on that. And so you were able to help us through, with not just sleep, other areas as well. So
right, yeah, we hit some barriers with some digestive issues along the way and things like that. And so that was like interrupting every nap. A poop was interrupting every nap for a while, and so we had to work around that. So the point is like you have lots of twists and turns when you're on this process together, but everything is solvable. I mean, that's the thing. It's like everything is solvable. And, I want to say kudos to Mike. He was the coach all the way through. He did all the night coaching. He kicked off the nap coaching. And so Mike got really, really intimately involved in his child's life and the learning process, because so much of the caregiving had been on Lindsey kind of by accident. And then with this process, like the unity, right? Then, the intimacy that you built with Madeline, your daughter, and knowing that you were helping solve this problem for Lindsey, who was like on ground zero, like just couldn't go on anymore, and that you were able to do that, which is huge, Yeah. And so I guess in closing, I'd like to say that, families often will say to me, is it too late for me? I mean, here's Lindsey, Madeline was 19 months. And I remember you even saying, this is too late, and that a lot of moms have some shame around the fact that they haven't solved the problem, or that they've tried everything and nothing has worked. And that was definitely like, you were in that boat, like you had, because Lindsey's a researcher. Like she has been researching and buying the products. I think we were joking one time about the Amazon orders coming to the front door. Mike's like, okay, another swaddle blanket, right? Yeah. And so to be able to come and put it all together, and all the things that she had been doing well were still valid. And then all the pieces of the puzzle that were missing, we needed to kind of come together as a family unit and pull together and work step by step, day by day, until we reached all the goals. And it took us a while. Because the napping was kind of tough. She was resistant, and she had the pooping problem at the naps, but we kept with it because we saw that she could do it at night. We knew she could do it at naps, so it's building a lot of hope. So when you kind of reflect back on how hopeless you felt because you tried everything and nothing had worked, and kind of add in dad's skepticism until where you are now, like what would you want to tell people about, having the faith that this could work for them?
Well, one other thing too, that when we were starting this is we were very, or at least I was very skeptical how it works, but we didn't want to do like the cry it out thing, because we didn't want our poor daughter to like just cry it out. And that's not all what this process was.
Yeah.
So I think because it's not the cry it out scheme like some people do, and it was just a lot more, your step-by-step hand holding that helped too. But yeah, it definitely works, obviously, since we're doing this interview. And yeah, we get a lot more sleep. I'm sure she wakes up in the night, she might talk, but she'll put herself right to bed and we don't even know. We sleep right through it. So she's just a little over 2 years old now, and she's like completely independent. She puts herself to sleep. She takes naps in nighttime, and just obviously gives us a lot more free time and more sane because we have sleep.
Yes.
So, I went from being like depressed, like at wit's end with the, starting, and then we began this with you, and you made this an enjoyable, pleasurable experience, because honestly, you talked to us, well, first the consult, at the beginning, face to face was very important. We do everything face to face, and so,
like through video, through Zoom. Yeah. Because I'm in California and you guys are in Ohio, right? And so that's another thing, like the distance, that was one of dad's things, is like the distance. Wait, she's in California? What? I don't get it. But no, we do everything by Zoom.
Room coaching over the
Yes.
phone.
We did everything by Zoom. And you were also able to show us handouts and information. And, we got the same, it's just like a learning process. It's almost like taking a class, it was amazing, except for you have the one-on-one help every day, after and during.
Yes.
I still think we probably got our daughter, in our mind, it was at a good time. It could have been earlier in life, but we know people that have kids 3, 4, 5 that they just don't sleep, they don't nap, they don't. It's like we want to get her before all that, so we train her right, so she is a good napper in the future.
Yeah, so this really, like looking at all the other problems, like in the family and friends that they have with their children, and they're just accepting it, or they live that way. And I've even had people comment, oh, I wish I would have done what you did, and so we think that this was really well spent money. This was a great investment for our family. And we think it was one of the best decisions that we have made.
A few minutes of reading a book and, okay, in your crib, bye. And then you walk away, no crying.
Right.
Put yourself to sleep.
It was great.
And then your child wakes up well rested, right? Then they're in a good mood.
Yeah.
Then they want to eat. You can have a nice schedule. You have a dependable schedule where you're like, okay, we wake up, we go do an activity, we come home for a nap, we come home and we do this in the afternoon. There's more predictability in your life, and there's ease for sure, because your child's well rested, so they're not as grumpy. For the individuals that persist in living with the struggle when that's not necessary, there's nothing scary about this process. This is a very nurturing process.
Have 2 people working and they're busy with work life, or if couples want to have other kids and children, to get your first kids sleeping, I would think that would make life so much easier in all areas with new kids and work, and
so much easier for the whole family.
Yes. And I'm all about I'm all about the well-rested family. So it's like my tagline is sleep is bliss for you, your child, and your family.
Definitely.
So thank you so much. Pardon me?
We know that we'll use you in the future for any other issues or concerns. And then if we have other children, we will definitely be using you again, because you made this a great, enjoyable, pleasurable experience, and everybody has won from,
Yes. Now Mike's a true believer. He's like, okay, no problem. Let's call Joanna. Yeah. And I have families that I've been, because I've been doing this for 10 years. I have families that have gone on to have 3 and 4 and 5 kids. And every single time they call, okay, let's do it. Let's do it, and it's fun, because obviously now I get Christmas cards from clients. It's super fun.
We have a second one. Maybe we'll try to start this process earlier this time.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much, you guys. I'm so happy that you had such a wonderful experience with me and Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching.
Thank you.
Thank you.